Well, good afternoon and good morning, wherever you are. My name's Tom Jenkins. We're just being joined by one of our panelists, Kays. Hello, Kays. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Tom. Loud and
And I
clear.
can hear you too. Good. And I'm delighted to be joined by Kays Newman and Champa Selim to discuss really the Chinese visitor, what makes them unique, and what one can do to meet this unique challenge. I think from the point of view of Europe, particularly European retailers, China, when they first the Chinese market when it first arrived, really at the beginning of the noughties, which is uh, some of us now suddenly feel old when I realize that the 2000 and noughts are nearly 20 years ago. But when they first arrived, it caused a minor sensation. The sheer volume of spending that the Chinese visitors were prepared to engage in. I think since then the market has matured, and this in itself, and of course the market has changed. We've got real challenges in technical and operational concerns in terms of the closure of Russian airspace, and now more recently the closure of the Straits of Hormuz, or the area around the Gulf. So the market has not fully recovered to where it was before COVID, but I think it still remains an extremely important market, but one that has changed. And I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by the two co-panelists here, both of whom are extremely well versed in this area. I've got Champa Selim from Value Retail Management, who's very much in charge of the Chinese aspect of Bicester Village. Bicester Village really needs no introduction from me. It's proved to be one of the great attractions in the UK, offering absolute premium value retail, premium quality products from leading market brands in a venue which lots of people now flood to. Kays is from Royal Costa Diamonds, one of the oldest diamond polishing firms in the world. They have been responsible for polishing and providing diamonds for all the main royal families in Europe, and I mean both ones that exist now and the ones that used to exist. So I think they used to have the Russian royal family, the Austrian royal family, the Italian royal family, and for those that still exist, the Netherlands royal family and the British royal family. I think you're responsible for polishing the Koh-i-Noor. So they do big diamonds, and famously, Ben Meyer, Kays's illustrious predecessor, I think has a Guinness World Record for polishing the smallest diamond. But these are small things. So I'm absolutely delighted to have two representatives of the luxury end of the market here. So Champa, do you want to say hello first of all, and then we'll let Kay say hello, and then we'll move on.
Hello, hi, good morning, everyone. So delighted to be here to share our Chinese experience with you guys.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, everyone, or good morning in Amsterdam at least. I'm Kees Nooman, almost 40 years in Koster and 40 years addicted to the travel retail business. I called myself. We polish diamonds, but I know more about I think about travel. And I know, Tom, I don't know how long ETOA exists, 30 years plus, I think, Tom. And
we are 30 years plus,
since the first day. So and still enjoying very much so.
And I think, Case, I think you and I probably have been in this business for almost exactly the same length of time, but we both have remain young together, if that if I may use that analogy.
Absolutely.
Thank you. It's great for you to join us. Now, Champa, you've this is Bicester is obviously a mainstream Chinese destination almost. Do you want to you're going to do a quick presentation? Do you want to try and do that?
Yeah, okay, great. Thank you. Let me share screen, if that's okay. Give me 1 second. Hi, can you see my share screen?
Not just yet, but we will. I'm sure it's coming in a second.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay, then. So Bicester Village is the founding member of the Bicester collection was first established in 1995. So what made us unique and attractive to the Chinese and to the international shoppers as well? We are home to 160 luxury international boutiques, including Dior, because Dior never opened in any village, outlet. So we have the privilege to house Christian Dior. We have Gucci, Prada, Saint Laurent, Valentino, and as well as the quintessentially British brands, say Alexander McQueen, Burberry, Dunhill, Paul Smith, Stella McCartney. And here is an overview of our extraordinary brands. And honestly, our luxury brands with very attractive price, and that's one of the key winning points appeal to the Chinese. And as well as our strategic location, we are located in the heart of Oxfordshire and the gateway into Cotswold. And we are only less than 1 hour away from London city centre, 1 hour away from Heathrow Airport. So we are proud to be one of the top attractions in the UK, and we are definitely the number one attraction to the Chinese. So if I may just give you a quick overview of Bicester Village through our summer video. Oh, sorry. Okay. So Tom has been to Bicester Village during Chinese New Year, and you can see that we have a lot of international luxury brands, but the price is absolutely adorable, and that's why the Chinese, they all love luxury brands, but with attractive prices, and also. When they enjoy luxury shopping, we also offer world-class dining. We have Sanjay Chinese restaurant. We have quintessentially British English pub double red deal but fine dining restaurant. We have Michelin star Ottolenghi, and we have 2 Italian restaurants, Ciccone's, La Tour Pasta, and we offer 5-star shopping services. Hands-free shopping, reserve parking, personal shopping, and luxury shopping package. Now, the secret of our success to high net worth, high spenders, we have a secret space, a secret private space called the apartment, which is an absolutely quintessentially Oxford style country home. It's a VIP apartment, and we offer refreshments, champagne breakfast, afternoon tea, hands-free shopping, and we have 3 private rooms. Actually, there and a small, very VIP room as well. So, in total, we can host 50 to 60 VIP guests, and we have state-of-the-art personal shopping suites. We have a strong team of personal shoppers to look after them. So a lot of people will ask our strategy to drive Chinese and Southeast Asian shoppers. Well, we work on partnership. Just for example, we are lucky to have a lot of great partners to support us. Historically, Bicester Village, we welcome large number of groups from China and Southeast Asia, including leisure groups, MICE groups, and our travel trade partners, travel agents, bring in a lot of groups to BV over the past 10 years. But COVID changed everything. So after COVID, we received less groups, but a lot more FIT. And among those groups, more VIP groups, more small groups rather than pre-COVID large groups. And FIT, we work with financial partners, say Bank of China, Bank of East Asia, Maybank Malaysia, hotels. We sign up all the 5-star hotels in London, in Oxfordshire, Cotswold, local attractions as well. Airlines, we work with all the big airlines around the world, BA, Air China, China Southern Airline, and Embassy. Embassy is also our big partner. So the Southeast Asian Chinese Embassy in the UK, they will also send us good numbers of their government officials, royal family members to be with corporates. We work with a lot of big companies in the UK, not only to bring their clients, but also we work on employee platforms. So their employee will also enjoy VIP benefits. Business associations like China Chamber of Commerce, the Chinese UK Chamber Federation. And also we work with luxury sector to drive high-net-worth private clients, say luxury concierge, VIP casinos, auction houses, wine and cigar dealers. But the other key market is student market, because there were over 100,000 Chinese students studying in the UK. And the Chinese student, they love this. We are their #1 shopping hub in the UK. So we work with student union, universities, and student accommodation. And we also work with expat community. So from time to time, we organize shopping days for expat and students. So my partnership is very important to be with. Before COVID, we welcome almost 150,000 packs of MICE groups to BV each year. Post-COVID, less, but still we have some large MICE groups from China and Southeast Asia. So last year we welcomed Perfect China Group, 1,000 packs in one group. So how we welcome MICE groups, we have MICE program, MICE benefits, including a special MICE discount, and then fast track to key brands for large MICE groups, and membership for them to sign up to enjoy benefits. In terms of the student market, we work with a lot of student union, top universities, colleges in London and surrounding area, Birmingham. And shopping events is also a key strategy to drive expats and students into Business Village. We work with private banks, Bank of China, Maybank Malaysia, on different shopping days. And of course, we always have a big brand to support. So it proved that Burberry is the #1 brand for the Chinese and Asian market. But in addition to shopping event, to drive footfall and sales on the day, we also organize a lot of cultural arts event. So yeah, so that's an overview of Business Village. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Champa. That was extraordinary, and I think you've sown the ground for an interesting discussion. I think the point that you're saying, that you're seeing less big groups, but you're seeing smaller groups coming in from China, is very pertinent, and the focus has to be more towards FIT, which I think we just have to accept as a feature of the market. Obviously, coming from my background, where the bigger the group, the better, was always my attitude. And if you can have 48 people rocking into a shop, that's better than having 2. But that's not necessarily how the market is working at the moment. So we have to do what the clients want rather than what we would like to see happen. And I think your point that, and I think you've given a really abject lesson in the fact that, get connected, get on everyone's agenda. And this is what you appear to be doing. And I think this is a wonderful example of just reaching out in every direction to make sure that everyone is aware of you and knows that you're prepared to work with them. And I also like the fact that you're included in MICE programs, because what you're trying to do is make sure that you are part of the product. You're not something extra that just happens to people when they're on a tour or they're on a MICE program. You are part of the main product that is being sold. This is actually quite important, because I believe in China you can't simply take people shopping in the same way that you used to be able to. You've got to say, this is what you've signed up for, rather than this is what I'm doing. Now, I'm sorry, Kees, we've had you in the background. I mean, we also appreciate, as Champa has said, is that the China market is changing. But let us know what you do and what it is you can do for the Chinese.
Yes, thank you very much, Tom. Yeah, where shall I start? I mean, maybe to make a kind of bridge between Champa and ourselves. And the word COVID already, we heard it many times, and since then the world has changed. Before COVID, we were looking at opening a store in Bicester. I was there together with my competitor, and I mean, I must say it's a very nice place. I will sometimes say the train station there, it looks nicer than our nicest hotel in Amsterdam. So I know how nice it looks. We also had a shop in Roermond. Let's say, I think it's one of your biggest competitor on the continent. And we went there because of the Chinese, because of the, let's say, the tax-free shoppers. But I have a question for Tom. First of all, we sold the shop last year, and because we didn't make money, to be honest, because it's very hard to let's say survive there. But who do you think, Tom, at this moment in Roermond is the more than 50% of this making the sales tax-free? You know which country?
The UK.
No.
All right.
It's Turkey. It's Turkish. Turkish groups. And you can check your record, Champa, with I'm not sure also for the UK, but maybe your stores on the continent. And we see this also in Amsterdam. I mean, they are, let's say, hard bargainers. They come in big volume. But they are let's say, the largest shopper in Roermond in this moment, and I see still the statistics from there, because every week you get a nice their records, who's number one buyer and per square meter. They measure everything. But anyway, that's the sideline. Yeah.
Just in case anybody gets the wrong idea, I only said the UK because it seems so implausible, and you are hiding a surprise there. So I just guessed.
No, Keep going. To be. Tom, I mean, you know what the situation is with the tax refund in the UK. To be honest, we're very happy with the UKs these days, because they are already, I mean, many years they were, let's say, on the bottom of our list, but now they are top 5 already in our company. So we have so many British people coming to us in the weekend and buying diamonds, and we're really happy with that. And I think at the end of the year, maybe they're going to be number 2 or number 3. So.
I will come to see you. I will come to see you. I love diamond.
Okay. But if I look to our company, let's say pre-COVID, we did 35% of our sales were from China. I remember I went there the first time when KLM was opening let's say, the first flight to Beijing. And then it really took off, was 95, I think. And I mean, we had great years in China. 35% of turnover China, the rest of, let's say, 35% in our company was Southeast Asia. If I look to my figures now, I'm even feel ashamed to mention them, because the world has changed in COVID. And I was expecting that when COVID was over, I mean, the Chinese would flood over Europe and always spend their money. But it's the contrary, and there are many reasons for that. Of course, we know inflation, ticket prices are expenses, travel time, visa. There's so many reasons why, let's say, maybe they start to travel. Tom mentioned it's not like it was before, but it's far from before. But there are many groups. But I always say my biggest competition now is, let's say, not my competitor in town, but it's time. Time is my biggest competitor. And the Chinese tool leader, let's say, especially for the big retailers, because you have business groups, you have mice groups, and you have, let's say, a leisure. And leisure, I see the volume still coming, let's say, to town, but I don't see many coming in here. And why is that? Because tool leaders still have to, let's say, pay to do a tour, and they want to make this money back. So the tool leader choose, let's say, or to sell an optional, and to see where is his highest commission, because the market is driven by money. So tool leader, I mean, they pay, let's say, to their agent to do the tour. They're leaving from, let's say, Guangzhou, Beijing, whatever, and then they have to, let's say, first of all, the money they pay, they have to get it back, and that's not easy. So sometimes they rather sell an excursion to the Sanseschans or selling another excursion, and to, let's say, make money on the excursion, then going to a diamond factory, and that's what we see. Another thing is, and that's why I hear from my, let's say, my Chinese staff, and I'm not sure if it's true, but I can see in my figures. I mean, if Mr. Xi Jinping said we don't spend money overseas, they don't spend money overseas. They listen to the number one, and they spend the money in their country. So that's a very important factor, which we feel right now. We have still groups. I mean, I always learn Chinese always have money. I don't know, they have 1 job, 2 jobs, 3 jobs. They have always money, and otherwise they find enough jobs to have a good life. In Europe, we were, of course, supported by our governments. There, the people were not supported by the government, not in the way we were. So they also had reserves, let's say, to survive, and they have to make the money back. So they are more conservative. They also say in the Chinese news, I mean, the world is really it's a big mess. We don't know what's coming in the future. So prepare yourself, make sure you have enough reserves, what's going on. And so they spend less money. Business groups, I mean, they instructed to go only to 1 or 2 countries before they do one country, do inspection, we do invitation letter, they're coming to Amsterdam, half an hour to a company, and then 8 days shopping. This is not allowed anymore. So there are many factors why Chinese people, they still travel, but they travel in a different way. And we see this in our figures, and that is really hard to accept. I still hope that it will, let's say, will change one day. And another thing is important. We have to be nice to the Chinese. I mean, you feel, the Chinese feel, that's what I hear from my people, that the whole world is against China. But the others said, listen, you can say what you want, but you need us. Huh? The big car companies, we all need the Chinese, and they have a horizon, let's say, not in 10 years or 20 years, but they look ahead. We look into tomorrow. So they have patience, and but be nice to them. And if you're nice to them, then probably you get your business. But we are sometimes too tough and say we don't need, but we cannot live without the Chinese, because they're smarter, they work 10 times harder, and they're making all our stuff basically. So and that's what this injection I get every day from my Chinese people around me, and I believe it's true. I was nice to the Chinese, and I'm still are, but we see they spend less money, and the good thing is that negotiation is a little bit easier, because when you have good times and you sell 1 million to one agent, we had those cases. Of course, they put a knife on my throat, and they want to have more commission. And now it's much nicer, because it's easier to negotiate. But I'd rather go back to the times that it was tough than it's right now, and only have 1%. And when there's no sales, I don't have to pay. And that time they want to have lots of fixed costs and let's say incentive. And but so the world has changed, unfortunately. Hope it's coming back. Because Chinese always have money. That's a very important thing. They, if you go to a store, I mean, go to Bicester, you see the people buying big things. Most of the time they're Asians, first of all, and most of the time they're Chinese, or they have Chinese roots, because there are many Chinese also in the United States or in Canada or in Australia. And you see they all have money, and more money, let's say, than our local people. Anyway, Tom, I'm not too long, I hope. But
no. Case, you've been admirably frank, and I think everyone will learn a lot from what you said. I think you're right. I think surely this is cyclical. Nothing stays the same is the first thing I'd say. I mean, I remember a time when, and it's interesting in retail travel, it's interesting in luxury retail travel, things go in phases. When we started, and we go back some time, there was one market. There was the American market. And that absolutely dominated everything. And we will remember back in the 80s, because we go back that far, guys, when a dollar was buying way more than the equivalent of €1. And it was a super powerful currency. And all you had to do is open the shop, and I mean the money just flooded in. It was an extraordinary thing to see. The retail environment changed in America. People could source watches, they could source diamonds, they could buy them all over the United States in the way which they couldn't before. And suddenly things got a lot tougher. Very rapidly through the 90s, things didn't work. But then new markets came on tap. And we saw the Japanese arrive, we saw the Chinese arrive, we saw all sorts of Southeast Asians come into the thing, and that changed the picture. And I think we're seeing the markets mature in the same way that the American market matured. And I think what we've got to do is we've got to make sure, one, that sorry, this is from me. You can tell me you disagree if you want. I'll get back to you. But I think we've got to make sure that shopping, which is a central activity for people on holiday, it's one of the things that they all want to do, and they want to bring back something that says to themselves, says to their family and their friends, I've been there, and this is what I've brought back with me. It's a really important feature of being on holiday. And we know that everybody does it, and yet it's not really included in the itineraries of the tour operators that are selling the product. And if you've, and this is a point made by one of your competitors, Kays, years ago, is that the preparation of the client before arriving at the retail premises is absolutely central. If you can explain what is happening, why it is they're there, and what they do, and what they're going to gain from it, the fact that you're offering specific discounts to specific target markets, Champa, is a really interesting point. Then, and they think they're going to get a deal, then wow, it becomes a different proposition. I'm not for one moment saying discount, no, but I'm merely saying that the opportunity to get a deal, and they feel that they're getting a bargain, is a really important driver behind it. And I think just as an industry, we need to shift away from shopping, particularly for groups, being a sort of secret kept between the driver, the guide, and the shop, into being something which is front and central of what is happening in their product. Then I think we can get on we can hit to a different tack. But this is a global point. I'm much more interested in the Chinese, and I don't want to detain you guys for too long, but can I ask you, this is to Kays, we always learn from our customers. We always learn from our customers, just as an industry. The Americans, we learn that, you've got to have ensuite bathrooms. I mean, it seems ridiculous that we didn't have them before, but before they arrived in volume, insisted on it, you had to go down the corridor and find something out of your bedroom. We've learned, we learned enormously from the Japanese, because these were the big Asian market in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And the thing that we learned from the Japanese, we learned so much, but I remember the Japanese conference we had many years ago. Someone got up and said, ladies and gentlemen, in America and in Europe, you have a phrase saying that the client is king. In Japan, this is not good enough. In Japan, the client is God. You've got to get that into your heads if you want to do business here. You don't have to worry about if you're buying things off us, but But if you want to sell to us, you've got to shift your attitude. And a lot of people learn that. My point to you guys is, other than providing people with unlimited hot water, what do we have to do for the Chinese to make them feel that they're being respected and looked after? I'm going to throw that to Champa while Kay ponders on that one. Champa, is there anything you think you do specifically for the Chinese?
Yes. So now first of all, in terms of the brands, we keep changing the brands that hit the Chinese market. Not always just Burberry or Gucci, Prada, those big brands, but we keep changing the new brands appeal to the Chinese, first of all. And then in terms of the shopping experience, we upgrade our facilities, and we have a lot more Chinese speakers in the village. Not only the sales assistant, but the guest concierge staff. And also even in the VIP lounge, we have our Chinese speakers, and we also have a Chinese private client service manager. Because we, over the past 20 years, especially in the recent 8-9 years, we have transformed Bissa Village from an outlet into a luxury shopping destination. And the Chinese, they love it. They love the shopping experience. And that's the add benefits to them. They feel that they are well looked after. For the high spender level, we welcome them in our private space in the VIP lounge, and with Chinese VIP hosts to look after them. And that's something that, yes, they might be able to enjoy that in Harrods, but they need to pay full price. They need to pay £5,000 minimum for Dior product, but they pay less than half in Bissa, but they enjoy absolutely the same. And even some of our Chinese high spenders, why do they keep coming back? They say, we enjoy a lot more your VIP launch than Harrods. That's our feedback. Yeah. And also, and that result in the, say, after COVID, yes, the Chinese sales down versus pre-COVID. We are still catching up. But this year, we performed really well in Q1 versus last year. We up almost 20%, the Chinese sales. We are now, Chinese market is always our number one core market in Bissa Village. Last year, we were caught up by Middle East. Middle East sometimes number one market. But now, unfortunately, due to the Middle East conflict, so Middle East market down. But so the Chinese market up 20% versus last year in Q1. April down a bit because we were hit by the impact of the war, cancellation of flights, tour groups canceled. However, week one in May, we are up 18% versus last year. So we are optimistic for half two. Yeah. So May may be still a bit bumpy in May, June a little bit bumpy, but according to our airline partners, the Chinese airline, they increased the flight 4 times versus last year. But they increased the flight before the war. Now, I asked them, will you cancel some flights because of the war? They said they haven't canceled the flights yet. So we are still optimistic for the China summer and on to Golden Week.
I think it's really interesting, the point you're making. And it was one that was raised from one of our earlier discussions on the overview of the China market. And I think David Edwards, in his introduction to the China market that we had, pointed out that there's actually been no reduction in volume of Chinese flights from China coming into Europe most of those figures are actually up on pre-COVID levels. And that is not driven by European flag carriers who've had to cut right back because they can't fly over the Russian airspace.
Yeah.
It's dominated by the Chinese air carriers who have rushed in to get the airport slots, which are currently vacated by the European flag carriers. So we've got a huge increase, as you said, many times what there was before, increase in Chinese flag carriers coming into Europe. And that, I mean, you know, there is a danger when you just increase capacity and hope it will fill, but that will mean that there are visitors coming, undoubtedly. I think that's a very interesting point you're making. Kay, sorry, go back to the original question. You know, is there anything that we've learned from it, as you know, as a supply base, I suppose, dealing with the Chinese? Is there anything we've learned from it?
Yeah, I think so. You have to be, I mean, they want it fast, and they want it good, and they want a good, let's say, after service. I mean, Champa already mentioned Chinese language is important, and it's not only, of course, every region speaks a little different language. It's the same with London. Outside London, probably you cannot understand the people anymore. So the same in China. So make sure you have the right dialect is important. On the contrary, sometimes when we have groups here and they see all Chinese stuff, the people say, hey, it's a Chinese company. They're afraid they buy from a Chinese company. So sometimes they want to buy from a European that has more trust. And so that's important. I mean, another thing is, and we didn't mention that, but in China, there are much more anti-corruption laws. So when people coming back to China and they bring their bag with a big watch, probably an officer at the airport, they stop them. So they want to wear the watch. We send the boxes to them. Sometimes we have bank accounts in China. They can pay in, because China, I mean, everything there is by WeChat Pay. So they're used to a different kind of, let's say, paying system. So you really have to be all the payment systems for China. You have them in place and as flexible as possible. That's why we have a bank account in China, so you can pay there. Then I have a difficulty to get the money out, but that's another thing. But I mean, you have to be as flexible as possible. And if they're not happy, a return policy is important. That's why it's good when there's a relation with a tour operator or a tour leader or a guide, because you have an agreement with the tour operator. When they're coming in privately, then nobody can say, listen, can you return the goods? But if the tour operator calls me and says, listen, you take the goods back from this person, otherwise you lose the client, then of course you will do that. But service level on a very high standard, I mean, that's what they expect. But it is nice also to buy in Europe. I mean, it's you can also buy your Rolex watch in Beijing, but it's more sexy to buy it in, let's say, Switzerland, and to buy your diamond in Amsterdam, and maybe Louis Vuitton back in Paris. Or in Bicester, of course. Now, Bicester, you don't have LV, but it's nice to buy a brand good, let's say, in the, let's say, source place. And when you come home, then you can show off. That's what people still want. But we miss the sales, let's say, the people buy a big diamond and give to a customer to get a deal. This kind of things you don't see anymore. Unfortunately, I wish it was still there. So the market has changed so much. We have another thing, of course, there are lab-grown diamonds these days, and it's very popular in China, lab-grown diamonds, and they make them in China. They're extremely cheap. I mean, it's so cheap that it's worth nothing, basically. And Chinese, because of the situation in the world, they buy a lot of gold. But gold, you cannot make money on gold. And in China, they have 24 karat gold. We only have 18 karat here, or 14 karat. So there's so many challenges to make the Chinese happy. Yeah. But for them, it's still nice to buy overseas and to come back not empty-handed when they go back to home, and they have been in Europe for business or for pleasure. I mean, it's what Tom says, shopping. Unfortunately, not every tour operator is embracing it, but if you go yourself somewhere, you take something for your wife, your loved ones, or somebody. I mean, shopping is, let's say, unfortunately, it's sometimes it's a bad word. but everybody wants to do for shopping. That's why you're going. I mean, and bring something back for the place you went to, and then you take something from the country.
I know. I think this is so pertinent, and I think the answer is that nothing's going to be easy. This sounds slightly beside the point, but I remember being in Goa, which is not in China. It's not in Southeast Asia. But I was in Goa having a chat with a hotel manager, and what's happened in Goa is that which is on the coast, a few hundred miles away from Mumbai, and it used to be mainly a European and Australasian resort. People were going there from Europe and from Australasia to hang out on the beach. The amazing thing that's happened over the last 30 years is it's now become largely an Indian resort, and Europeans are very much in the minority in Goa. And I was talking to the hotel manager of the small boutique hotel that I was staying in, and he was wringing his hands. And I said, "What's your problem?" And he said, "Well, look, I've got most of my clients are now Indian," he goes, "and I've got a beautiful restaurant in my hotel, and I've got a lovely bar, but all my clients, they go to the restaurants on the high street, and they buy their liquor from the off license and sit in their room and order up 1 or 2 snacks on room service." And I said to him, "Well, look, I agree that's a bit of a bore for you, but what you're really complaining about is that these guys are smart and they're careful with their money. And it's tough if you've got to deal with smart customers." And I think this is a lesson that's a lesson the Indians are teaching us at the moment. It's not a question of opening the door up and hoping that people pick things up and pay money. It's actually a question of what is it that they need? What is it that they require? And this is a challenge being thrown down now by the Chinese market, as well as all the other ones. And I've just cited the Indian one. And I don't know how, all I know is that we need to respond to it. And I think there's several ways of doing so, but that's not for the discussion now, I think. Look, I don't want to detain you for much longer. I really say, Champa, is there any one tip you would give to people wanting to handle the Chinese people? Sorry, the Chinese. I mean, is there one tip you would give to someone wanting to sell to the Chinese market?
I would say to work with the Chinese, regardless, Chinese partners or Chinese clients, I would say to work with relationship is the number one important to work with them. So for me, I work on B2B partnership. I build a strong partnership with banks, airline, travel agent, and I spend a lot of time to build and manage the relationship with them. But another part of my role is I develop a lot of high net worth private clients, high spenders who are ultra high spender with a spend per visit of 20, 50,000 pounds. And again, those relationship with them, how to nurture and manage the relationship. And it's a genuine relationship. I don't do hard sell at all. I don't sell anything, but basic storytelling. So yeah, but I think the genuine relationship with them, look after them, look after partner and clients. I think the Chinese, they would appreciate that. And that's why we have a lot of return business.
Thank you so much. And I haven't touched on your social media presence, which is extraordinary on another level. But Kays, have you got any one tip you would give to anyone hoping to sell to China?
Yeah, no, of course, I 100% agree with Champa. I mean, building a relationship, I mean, that's what we did for the last 30 years. And then when the relationship is there, then the trust is there. But Chinese market is also extremely complicated. You have to understand who is pulling the, let's say, the strings. Every agent is basically different. They're using different, let's say, land operators. Sometimes they don't. Most of the Chinese, they don't use land operator anymore. the running gag is always when they use a land operator, they need credit, and then they use the Kuonis, the G2s, the high seas, etc. But most of the time they go for a direct deal, and they're searching, let's say, sometimes that's what we did. We provide hotel services, we provide coach services, we act like a tour operator, and maybe you have to, and we still are a kind of tour operator. And if you want it or not, if you don't do that, you don't have the business, because you just get a fax or email or a WeChat a message from, can you arrange this hotel for me, or can you take this transfer for me? And if you do that, then you have the business. And that's why every city is different, every agent is different, every agent has a different kind of business. So before you understand it, it takes you a while. So you have to go there, boots on the ground in China, and then then you build a relation, start slowly, and then and make it bigger. And because it's still a very potential market. And maybe not today, but also for the future, probably we depend on the Chinese. Simple as that. We cannot do without them, I think. So be nice and understand this market, Tom. That's my takeaway.
Champa, Kees, thank you so much for spending time with us. I'm really deeply grateful. And thank you, audience, for listening. This is being recorded for future posterity, but I'm absolutely delighted that we've had this discussion. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Kees.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.